How's everybody doing? We are live with Tracy Wong, and actually, I had the privilege of meeting her at J.R. Revis's conference in Atlanta sometime. I think it was last year. So everything is good. She's going to actually come on here, talk to you guys about whatever you're doing, as far as video photography. And I think we're going to actually start out on content at first. And, if you guys are live, hashtag replay. I know that a lot of people are interested in content and how to disperse content. Actually, we were kind of talking in the back as far as she said that she is actually getting ready to do a launch for Akbar Sheath. If you guys have no idea who he is, or whatever he's doing, you need to look him up, Google him, search, Facebook search, YouTube search. And actually my mentor Robb Quinn, I think, was in his program. So I mean, he has a plethora of stuff. I mean, I think he does a lot of stuff with ClickFunnels too, if I'm right, Tracy. But yeah, so she's actually helping him out, as far as his content, his videos and photography, I think. But she'll go a little more into that. And obviously, as you saw from the post, she actually worked for some other big names in the area as well, as far as James Smiley and J.R. Revis. And I just mentioned, Akbar Sheath. So the floor is yours, Tracy. You can just open up, just let people know, how you got interested in photography and all that stuff. How in the world did you get into this space? And then you just pretty much just blew up. So yeah, the floor is yours.
Awesome. I'm really glad to be here, Mike. Thank you so much for allowing me to be on this group. But basically, my name is Tracy Wong. I'm based in Dallas, Texas, and my story is very, very unique. I was actually born in communist China under the one-child policy, and my parents basically illegally had me. And so they found a way to smuggle me out of China along with all my siblings, and I grew up in New Zealand. So if you hear the New Zealand accent, that's where it's from. And I do live in Texas. So I'm going to say y'all with a New Zealand accent. So that's how you can remember me. I'm the Asian gal that says y'all with a New Zealand accent. So basically, how I got started was, I grew up really traditional, and we were an immigrant family. So we're, I have stories of just being super, super poor, not really having a lot of resources when I was growing up. But I went the really traditional route, Asian, went to school, got straight A's, graduated from USC when I was 22, and then landed a corporate all-American 9-to-5. And I did that for about 6 years. And to be honest, I felt really lost during that time. But one thing I always did throughout the entire time of just going to school and also working was I always had these really insane, really time consuming, really awesome hobbies. And so I would just always have a side hustle. I was a makeup artist in LA for a long time. And then I was a personal, I was a personal fitness and health coach for a little bit. So I always had these insane hobbies, but it wasn't until I was 27 when I had an incident where I went back to New Zealand to do my sister's wedding. And I remember just feeling so incredibly happy that I was able to do something that I loved and it encompassed everything that I had. And so when I came back to the United States, I realized I cannot live this traditional, lifestyle anymore. I've got to change. So one night I came across a YouTube video about filmmaking, and I was enraptured. I had never realized that you could actually be creative. You could actually be an entrepreneur and actually make money and serve people in such a creative way. And so I made a decision that night that I was going to become a filmmaker and a professional photographer. And I told my family, and they literally laughed me out of the room. And so that was about 5 years ago. And since then, I feel like I've been making up time where I've just been going hard after what I've always wanted to do, but I didn't know was possible. So, throughout this whole time, I've always had this ability to see the best in people, best in the way that they look, and also the best in in them as a person. And so this year's just been, the past few years has just been really incredible, being able to work with all these amazing influencers. And so the problem that we really solve in my agency, I run a really small agency. I love every person on my team to death. And what we do is that most coaches, speakers, and influencers struggle. They struggle to create impactful sales generating content consistently. And that's why I automate their content and distribution. And so they can focus on their genius while still attracting their ideal clients on autopilot without any ad spend. And I think that's the reason why we've had so much success, is because we've really just made everyone's lives way easier once they start working with us.
That's an interesting introduction, interesting story. I know as far as just the fact that actually, I'm going to go back to the beginning part of your story where you were actually talking about how you were born in communist China. So you said your parents actually had to smuggle you, pretty much smuggle you in. So, I mean, just the fact that you had resistance even before, you could pretty much talk, resistance against you, the world was pretty much against you. So, I mean, does that, I guess, obviously, I don't know if you remember it or not, but obviously, just the fact, I guess, even just the circumstance itself, does that play a role in how, I guess, progressive and how active you are as far as pursuing your goals and your dreams?
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't take my life for granted. I don't take every day for granted because, everything that we have could simply be taken away from us just because of our government system. And so I think it's really influenced just the way that I see the world and also how I see people, that, the fact that every person is alive means that every person has meaning. And if I'm here on earth, I want to make sure that I make the most of my days and I can help people make the most of theirs.
Yeah, that's good. That kind of leads us, into the next topic, as far as just getting your word out there, but you also help entrepreneurs get their word out there. Because, I mean, the only way that you are actually going to, I guess, let your story be told is somebody, pretty much at the film. I mean, unless you're going out doing, going on stage, doing public speaking and all that stuff, but still somebody has to, pretty much set all that stuff up. I mean, unless you're the one doing everything, which that's kind of hard to do, nowadays, especially, and, to get your name and your content out there and all that stuff. But speaking of content, I know that you actually had a couple of notes or ideas and tips that you wanted to share as far as how you were actually helping Akbar Sheikh with his content and dispersing. Do you want to go into a little detail with that?
Yeah, definitely. So I think nowadays we have to see the internet in like the time and age that we're in. So 5 years ago, if you had really beautiful photos and cool videos and cool transitions, that was enough to really make you seem like an expert. But we're in 2019 now, and that is not the case anymore because there's so many people with not much substance who are able to, just put out good videos and photos. And I think if you're going to lead with good photos and videos, like that's just, it's not enough anymore. And so what we do when we start working with our influencers is that we need to focus on key things that are going to make them establish them as authorities right from the get-go. And so the way that we do this, right, is that we like to turn anyone's social media page, because we work on pretty much all of them: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, all those, right? We will create original content, because if you go to someone's any of their social media pages, whether it's Brendon Burchard, Tony Robbins, they're not going to be reposting other people's content. So we really focus on original content. Another thing that we focus on is that we know, right, that if someone goes to any of your social media pages, they're going to scroll down your news feed, usually, or timeline, like 5 to 7 posts. And they're going to take about a 30-second look all the way down. And if you have all the components of what they expect an expert to be, you will automatically be in. But if you don't have those components, then they're going to be thinking, I don't know if this person really knows what I need. They're not really catering to, like my specific, questions. They don't know the key people in the industry, and they don't have anyone else saying that they're awesome. So I'm not going to really consider them as an expert. And so what we do, right, when we help influencers, like whether it's James Smiley or Akbar Sheikh, is that we make sure that anyone that goes into any of their profiles sees their social media content, and we turn it almost into a sales funnel. Okay. It's very unique because we're not just posting randomly. We have we have a huge strategy behind it. So I'm speaking directly to the people that may not be at a point now where you can hire an agency, or you may not be at a point where you can, afford a really top quality photographer or a videographer to follow you around like Gary Vee. I'm not going to lie, this type of service is pretty expensive. And to work with the top people, it's an investment. So I'm going to show you exactly how you can do it, no matter what your budget is, whether you have no budget, whether you can spend $500, or whether you can spend, $10,000 a month, like some of my clients. So if you're taking notes, I highly recommend it, because I'm going to break it down for you, okay? And I will tell you that if you use this process, you can literally grow like a pretty sizable business, even without crazy beautiful photography and video. It's super important to have that once you get to a certain level. But if you're starting out and you can't afford it, don't worry about it, because I've seen multiple influencers use the strategy, even though they haven't really put it into a system like I have, but I've analyzed them. So how does that sound? Does that sound good? You ready? Mike, you ready? Okay.
Oh, of course, I'm ready.
All right. All
yeah,
right.
If you guys are ready, hashtag ready, whether you catch this, now, whether you're watching it live, whether you're watching on the replay, go ahead and, hashtag ready. Hashtag, you're ready for a change, ready to grow your profile, ready to get more engagement on everything that you post, every video that you post. When people you heard Tracy say that pretty much she's going to actually set up your profile, whatever profile that is. I think not just specifically for Facebook, but just in general, whatever social media platform you are on, whatever you use, or just all of them in general. She's actually going to set everything up where you can actually have a sales funnel, where you don't have to use ClickFunnels, you don't have to pay, for a videographer, you don't have to pay for an expensive, photographer or anybody like that. You don't have to hire an outside source. She's actually going to show you guys how you can do it pretty much for free on your own. So listen up, get ready, get your pen and your paper, your pads out, and get ready to write and listen.
All right, awesome. So I'm going to go through the seven authority building content posts, okay? And I'm saying because this works whether you have no budget to whether you can afford, an expensive agency. So so when someone goes to your profile, no matter if it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, any of those, right? They need to see all the components of a funnel in there. So the first one is number one is messaging, okay? A lot of people think it's pretty pictures. It's not pretty pictures. It's messaging. Or storytelling is another way to say it. You have to have a very concise story about who you are, what you're selling, and what problem you solve. And probably the biggest thing I want to tell people is that it is not about you. You may love cars, but if your business is going to solve roofing, don't talk about cars. Very, very simple. You are there to serve your clients. And you need to be using words like you, yourself, and if you use use it as a way, like as a story. So you want to invite people into your movie. You're the protagonist, but they become part of the story. And so if your messaging is not helping people to become part of the story, then you've kind of lost the game, because I can personally post up all these glamorous pictures of myself, but if I don't have like a good story behind it, you're going to think, oh, just pretty picture, let me keep scrolling. So that's the first thing, messaging. Number two, right? And kind of on a side note, like I'm going to ask you guys, like if you are really taking notes, think of these 7 posts, like posts Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay, so let's say on Monday, every post that you do on Mondays is going to be one about messaging. So about your story, about your business, and then how you're able to basically serve people. And it has to be a story format. So instead of saying like, my business fixed roofs, say, the other day there was a hailstorm in Texas and everyone's roofs got destroyed. So do you see the difference there? So if you just have a story every Monday and then maybe put a picture, and if you don't have a good picture, take a picture on your iPhone. It works just the same. It's about the story, okay? So the second thing is a value post. So just like in a funnel, you have to give value. People are going to glance through a funnel within about 30 seconds. Same thing on social media, right? You have to give value. So value could be solving a question, a problem, answering something. So a lot of people ask me, what's the best camera to get if you're starting out? And I'll tell them, oh, get this camera. So it's a value post. You can do that. If you are in business, which I'm assuming you are, or even if you're pre-revenue, you should have a list of 10 questions and concerns or problems that most people encounter in your industry. Just make a little post about every single one of them. It can be a photo, it could be a video. I highly recommend video, especially Facebook Lives, because video is like the fastest, easiest way to get people to know your personality and to really suck them into your world. But if you're not comfortable in video, you can do it like a short little, like a written post. And so I've covered, messaging and storytelling. And the second one is value. The third one, right, is making sure that your content is interactive. Okay, so a lot of people will call this hype posts. So, the reason why you want to do this is, I'll give you like I'll give you a little bit of insight into like Facebook right now. Likes, hearts, do not matter, okay? I'm not saying they don't matter at all. I'm just saying they're not going to help your profile. The thing that helps your profile the most is comments. And basically, when you are inviting people to view your content, you have to invite them to interact with you. And we are in direct response marketing. Repeat that after me. Direct response marketing.
Direct response marketing.
Thank you, Mike. You have to have people interact with you, like really train them to have a response. And so you can throw a value post every Wednesday, because we're on the third day of the week now. Every Wednesday, do something interactive. Like, hey guys, we were in Texas, we had a hailstorm. Did anyone's house get affected? Comment below. Ask them to comment. If you do something like, today is Wednesday, give me a story about a win you had this week. People will start commenting. And so don't look at the likes and the reactions, look at the comments. The more you can get people to comment, the more you're training your audience to have a direct response to your content. And another thing is, a really good thing that's worked for us is, like these type of hype posts is, if let's say you talk about a win, something that happened, that really worked for you this week, then tell everyone, type win in the comments if you agree.
That's a good point. Let me ask you, I'll be real quick, you a question. So I know a lot of people are talking about the timing of their posts. So you guys pay attention to the timing. You're just saying pretty much just post, this type of post on Monday, this type of post on Tuesday, this type of post. So on Wednesday, and so on and so forth. So are you guys really paying any attention to the timing, or is it just, do you just post once a day? I mean, do you post several times a day? I guess even on that specific topic, I guess can you go into that as far as the timing, just real quick? Because I know you're in a groove going through the tips.
Yeah, absolutely. So the best thing is to mimic human behavior. And so you have to think about your audience and like when they are going to be on social media. So most people, right, the minute they wake up, they're going to grab their phone and check Facebook. So that's, one time during lunch, usually about after 3 p.m. when everyone's kind of had that 2 p.m. Drop in their energy. They're going to be starting to look at Facebook at 3 p.m. And usually after work around like 5 or 6. If you are, and I think in terms of like how many times to post, it's really about the quality of your content. If you have great quality and you've got great interaction, then you can basically just post once a day when you're starting out. And if you have that engagement, right, then scale. But the most important thing is consistency. And so let's say, you're only able to post like 3 times a week, then post consistently 3 times a week, because people are watching and Facebook is going to basically reward you for whatever you do. So the more consistent you can be, the better. So like most of the time, like we will post in the afternoon, because what we found that is the best. Usually from like 12 to, I'll say probably like 5 p.m. is probably like a really good time. Nowadays, like I would say, I think it used to matter a little bit more about when you posted. Now, because not everyone's going to see your content at the same time, Facebook is basically going to filter it out depending on how many people are interested in it and how many people have recently interacted with your content, in the last week.
All right. That's good to know. And then it looks like Jatari hopped on. What's going on, Jatari? If you got any questions, go ahead and put them in there. Anybody else is watching, whether now, afterwards, whatever, just go ahead and put your questions in the comment section, and either I'll come back, Tracy will come back and answer them. I'll forward her if I can't answer the question, I'll forward them to her. She'll answer your question. So yeah, go ahead. So we're on number 3.
Yeah. So I just went over, just making your post really, really interactive. So the 4th one, right? So, like if you're doing this content posting yourself, do it on Thursday. It is making sure that you have authority posts. So when I say authority posts, is that there are key people in your industry who are leaders. And if you get a picture taken with them, or if you're on an event with them, or are interacting with them, there is something called the power of association, where people automatically think, oh, you are hanging out with this person, you guys must be the same or similar. And so if you guys look through my Facebook feed, I've been kind of experimenting with this, because for the longest time, I've just been in the background. And I love the behind the scenes life, #BTS. But I recently started doing this because I interact with a lot of influencers, right? Where I started posting photos of them and tagging them, or photos of me and them together. And I cannot tell you, it wasn't like I wasn't interacting with them a year ago. It's just that I've started posting about it. And so people now associate me with all these influencers just because of that. So if you guys are at events, or you work with a lot of influencers, get connected with them first, reach out, try to offer them, contribute to, help them however you can, and so that you can be associated with them. And if you start posting it, people will start thinking, okay, you are like Gary Vee, or you are like Grant Cardone, and they'll start seeing you on that same level. And it's just like a funnel, right? You go to a funnel, and if, let's say, in the testimonial section, which is normally, further below, because normally you have your headline, you might have a video, you'll have the copy, and then your testimonials. If you see, let's say, James Smiley, Akbar Sheik, Josh Forty, J.R. Rivas, Rachel Patterson, all those people, Steve Larson, Russell Brunson, Grant Cardone, if you see all those people recommending that person in that funnel, you're automatically going to think that they're on the same level. So you can do the same thing for social media.
Yeah, that's a good point. I know that I think they mentioned that at actually JR mentioned that at his event. So just pretty much making authority posts. If you get close to a celebrity, close to somebody big in your space, take a picture with them. Shoot a video with them, do something that way, as far as, it's the power of association. So pretty much just like Tracy said, just to reiterate what she said, just the fact that you're pretty much, people are going to associate you with that person, that particular person. We just did an event with Tai Lopez. Well, actually I was in a mastermind. I am in a mastermind with Tai Lopez, and we went to his farm, and I made sure, I took as many videos as I could, not necessarily just so I could, obviously, yeah, so I could have the videos and remember them pretty much, but not only solely for that. I mean, there was a purpose in me doing that as well, taking pictures with him and Alex Meir, and then just my kids actually sitting at the table, eating with them. So, I mean, there was a purpose in that, as a business purpose. So, and then also, I guess, maybe for the, tax side, just in case, the tax department comes, we start writing off a lot of stuff, then we can just, hey, we were right here, at a business event. So, so we were talking about authority posts. So, number 4. So,
yeah. And the truth is, now it's so easy to get a picture with Gary V, right? Like the way to do it makes all the difference. So it's not just like, hey, your arm is on the shoulder of the celebrity. You have to contribute to their world. So it has to be something like you are recommending them. I think another thing that most people don't realize is that whatever content you post, whether it's positive or negative, people attribute that to you as a person. So if I'm, if I go on my Facebook profile and I start complaining about James Smiley or Akbar Sheikh or any of my clients, people are gonna take whatever negative things I say and attribute that to me. And same thing about the positive things. Like if you really want to be known as someone that is really able to contribute, write something nice about that authority figure, that leader in your industry. Like Mike, if you were talking about Tai Lopez, say like I was at Tai Lopez's mastermind and he was so helpful. He gave me so many insights into my business. Tag him. I don't know if he will respond, but just tag him and say like, thank you so much. Like that was amazing. And you will not believe how many people will respond and say, wow, Mike, you are such a cool person. Like you're awesome because you're just so giving. Were you giving? Well, yeah, you were giving because you're giving back to that person that you're basically giving a praise report about. And so use those authority posts as a way to kind of elevate other people, because if you elevate other people, they will elevate you as well. Because there is another thing called the power of reciprocity, where if you say something nice about someone or you give a gift, they basically feel an obligation to give back to you. So
yeah, I don't know if you can actually, I don't know if I can be seen or not on that, because I can't see me on the Be Live on the right screen. So can you still see me? I don't know if we're going, I think it's fine, but I'm not sure. Hello?
Yeah, I can still see you on my side.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, because I can't see it, because actually there's two screens that I'm looking at here in Be Live, and on one of the screens actually it just went black. So I just wanted to make sure that I'm still, but I can see it. Actually, I have it in my group, so I guess we're fine. But
okay.
Just kind of threw me off there, and then you stopped, and I was like, maybe she can't see me. So
no, I was just waiting for you to like drop something like a value bomb.
No, well, I was actually focused on the actual screen itself. But yeah, I mean, yeah, just pretty much like she said, I know that's a good idea as far as, I was just pretty much taking pictures, and I don't think that maybe in his group I can tag Ty. As far as, I'm in some of his groups, actually, I guess his SMMA group and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, that's a good idea. Just the fact of, it's not just the fact that you are, taking pictures with him, but pretty much you need to be seen like, you're assisting them, and, like you're really part of them, helping them out, and then get them to, pretty much respond. So that's a good point.
Yeah. And because, like if you ever go to a funnel and there's just no authority in there, no authority that shows that, one, you're associated with authority figures, and then and nothing that shows you you're a likable person, then it just, you don't have as much credibility, because people, like the key people in your industry aren't recommending you. And that's really tough. It's a very hard thing to overcome, because it just takes more content, or your audience to consume more of your content to eventually put you in that position, versus you could just do that right away with a quick post or like a quick little section in your funnel.
That's true. A lot of people don't think about that. Well, I guess, obviously, yeah, we're using our Facebook page as our funnel. So, our sales funnel. So, but a lot of people just think, create content. Because, I mean, that's what Gary Vee talks about. And that's how he pretty much made himself big. But, I mean, you're pretty much saying that you can reduce the amount of time just by, adding, some of those people. Well, I guess my next question is, or some of the people may be thinking is like, well, you're saying, take, I guess, photos and shots and videos with these people, but how do you get close to these people? How do you put yourself, in the arm's reach of like, a Gary Vee or, a Tai Lopez? I mean, I can kind of tell you my story, how I got in touch with Tai Lopez, but, it's like, because obviously you're really not just going to send, because even right now, I really can't send Tai, even though I'm in his master, I can't really send him, a message and he'll respond immediately. It's still got to go through a chain of command, because he doesn't, necessarily check his messages, his emails and all that stuff. stuff. So it's like, how do you get in the arm's reach of, a popularity product, an Akbar sheet? How do you get to work for, Akbar sheet? How do you get to work for a James Smiley? How do you get to work for, a J.R. Rivas, at his event? Because I mean, until J.R. Rivas's event, I had no idea who you were. I don't know if you were that active on Facebook or whatever, but I don't know if the Facebook algorithm kicked in or whatever, but I really didn't know who you were, until the J.R. Rivas event. Because even you being at J.R. Rivas's event is like, just saying is like, this lady has to be something. I mean, she has to, pretty much, she knows what she's doing. If J.R. Rivas, actually got her in an event, then I started seeing you, with James Smiley at his events and stuff. So, I mean, what she is saying is actually right. But how did you get to that point? I'm thinking that, some people may be questioning how in the world do you get there?
Yeah, that's a great question. So how I started working with a lot of key influencers is I really probably maybe like when I started pursuing like filmmaking and photography, I started working with James Smiley, and I've known James forever. We worked in the same like companies in the past. We have the same background in the corporate America, and so I have two things that I will say. The first one is do a good job. It's as simple as that. Like, I think a lot of people when they're starting out, they think like, what's the quickest way to get to that influencer? You have to put in the work. I think it's simple as that. You've got to leverage your talent, and, do a impeccable job that is, almost too good for the level that you're at, or the position that you're at. So I always had a really, very high expectations for my own work. And the more that I worked with James when I first started out, like the more he liked it, and then other people started seeing it. So don't underestimate just the power of having one person recommend you. Okay, because if you do a good job, the word gets around. You don't have to say anything. It gets around really quick, because if someone likes you, if they like your personality, if you're easy to work with, if you do a good job and you're reliable, they're going to tell like all their friends. So that's a really good way. Just, find someone that's cool, work with them, and the word gets around. Okay. The second thing I will say, and this is really key, is if you are really just looking for that first client, find people that are up and coming, that are associated with the person that you're trying to reach, but are up and coming. So if, let's say it's Tai Lopez, right? Look for people around Tai Lopez that are in his general vicinity. Okay, does he have a videographer? Does he have a social media person? Does he have an assistant? Does he have a right-hand man that does all his scheduling? Whatever it is, right? Look for those people and start giving to them, start contributing, start helping them out however you can, whatever your skills are, like maybe volunteer at their event, and start getting to know them. Because the more people that you can have recommending you in that person's general vicinity, the more, once you get that opportunity to reach that person that you're trying to reach, are going to be like, oh, I know that person. I recommend Tracy because she's done this, and this, and she's cool. And that's how pretty much like all my connections have happened. Like whether it's J.R. Rivas or Akbar Sheikh, like, people just started saying like, Tracy did a good job. You should work with Tracy. And that's kind of how it's all happened. It's kind of been a whirlwind, I will tell you that. But if you use that, it will work for you.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that, especially with the over delivering. I always hear, a lot of people say that as far as, over deliver, give people more than, what they expect, especially if you're just starting out. I know Robb Quinn uses this tactic. I think Andrew Kroeze as well uses this tactic as far as just, over delivering, as far as just giving out. It's like, man, if you charge, I guess just a small amount or something, make sure that you over deliver. If you're giving out, free content, make sure that the free content, because that's actually what introduced me to Robb Quinn. Is I actually saw him somewhere on like Facebook or something. Then I was like, I got to look at this guy, more and more and more, dig in detail. But then, I went to YouTube and he had so much free traffic. I mean, people were taking his, free information, or, he had free information, free material, free trainings and stuff like that. People were taking his YouTube training and actually getting, clients from that. So that's interesting. She said, over deliver. And then I think the second point that you made, it was a tactic from James Smiley, and how he pretty much, got close to, Russell Russell Brunson was he started associating himself, with people in, Russell Brunson's circle. It wasn't necessarily Russell Brunson, but then everybody started spitting out his name. I think James will tell, pretty much told the story. Obviously, he can tell it better than I can because I'm just listening and regurgitating it, everything like that. But I think it was, I guess Russell Brunson went into a meeting one day and everybody started throwing out, James Smiley's name. He's like, who in the world is James Smiley? And it actually got Russell Brunson interested. It's like, I got to figure out who this guy is. So what Tracy is saying is actually tactics that have, actually worked and pretty much gotten, I guess a lot of people in arm's distance with, I guess the top person, at the company. So that's interesting that you say that. And, just those are prime examples that it actually does work. And then Tracy said, it pretty much worked for her. So obviously, because she's working with, J.R. Reeves, James Smiley and Akbar Sheath, and I'm sure the list goes on and on. So that's good. A good point. Good, good tactics, good ideas to take.
Awesome. Yeah. And if that's okay, it kind of leads me to the next part, which is the fifth point. Or I guess if you're doing this on a schedule, your Friday, right? Social proof. So important to have social proof because you can't be in a lone island. You can't like sit by yourself in front of your computer and have no one recommend you. Like it just doesn't show that you're a business. It doesn't show that you're a person that's able to, solve problems. And so you need people to be recommending you. And I think one of the easiest ways is video testimonials. Video testimonials are so key. And I personally don't, and I really did get this from James Smiley. Like, I don't really, I've never really done free work, maybe low cost work at the beginning, but I think there's something valuable about people paying for whatever service or product that you give because they take it a lot more seriously versus like if you're giving out free stuff, like what's the difference between your stuff and like a free cheeseburger? Like, right? There's just not that value associated with it. And so, like if someone is scrolling through your Facebook and they see someone you've worked with recommend you, like that does the world for how people perceive you as an expert. And so, and one of the things is like, I like to do like a testimonial at least once a week for my clients, video testimonial, because it's coming from the mouth of that person that has worked with them. So it's not them saying like, I'm so great. It's someone else saying this person is so great. And then also just to make sure that it's in the news feed or in their timeline within the first like 30 seconds of scrolling. So, and also when, here's something really quick, okay? If you want to get really good testimonials, don't ask people just to give you testimonials. I don't know why, like people just freeze. And if you ask someone to give you a testimonial, they'll take like a month to get it back to you and you may not even get it back. Ask questions. Ask questions, and this is the simple formula, okay? So if you're writing a notes, it's super simple, okay? Number one, first part, what was your life like? What was your business like? What problems were you having before you started buying this program or going to this event or whatever it is? Number two, what was the turning point? Your back up against the wall moment that made you decide. And then number three, what is your life now like now? It has to be this rags to riches or how to heaven type of testimonial. And if you get that and you get the emotion in it, and you do this by asking questions. So just ask a question based on those three things, you will get a rock solid testimonial. And that's really going to pull on the heartstrings of your viewers when they go through and watch your videos.
So I guess how do you get to that point where, because obviously there's a lot of people that are just beginning, they just hopped into, I guess, social media marketing or even personal branding, influencing, whatever you want to call it. How do you get to that point where you get your first testimonial? I'm sure some people, because I know you mentioned earlier, if you don't have your first client yet, you need to do this. So how do you get to that point where, you actually get somebody to, give you that first personal testimony without, because some people, I guess, well, yeah, obviously, yeah, it's the power of numbers. The more you keep talking to people, the more, you present yourself, put yourself out there, the more, business contacts and stuff you have with that. But up until that point, you know, if you've only talked to maybe like 15, 20, 30 companies, it's like, how do you, you know, obtain, you know, a testimonial?
Great question. So if you don't have, let's say you maybe your pre-revenue, easiest way is, do you have any friends? Do you have any family members? Have them give a character testimonial about you. They don't have to specifically talk about the product. It's probably better if they don't, because your product's going to change, especially when you're in the initial stage of like trying to develop your business and you don't know which direction you're going to go. Just have like your best friend give you a testimonial. Mike, great person, great character. He always delivers. He's always on time. Make sure you work with Mike. You won't regret it.
That's interesting. That's a good idea. Yeah, that's obviously, yeah, a good idea. So it doesn't necessarily have to be about your business. It can be like, I guess they call it a character testimonial, where they pretty much just justify that you are a good person. And, you know, I mean, that's something that's missing, you know, in business. This is, you know, $1 million tip, you know, as far as, you know, what you just gave right there. Because a lot of people are thinking that, you know, in order for me to have a testimonial, I need to have, you know, I need to perform for a business. Well, at least in my space, social media marketing is like, I need to, you know, perform for a business. I need to have some type of results. I need to have ran, you know, a Facebook ad that generated them, you know, $20,000, you know, or, you know, a high ROI or something like that. So, I mean, character testimonial work also. A lot of people sometimes forget about that, or either they just don't know, you know, about that. So, I mean, that's a good point.
Yeah. And, you know, like if you're trying to sell something super high ticket, like 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 K plus, right? Then you really do need like the results-based testimonials, and those testimonials need to be longer. But when you're just first starting out, just grab a bunch of your friends, people that you like. Like I did like health coaching. I had about 17 clients, and I did that for about 1.5 years just for fun. It was like a side hustle, right? And when I first started, I had no one to recommend me, but I knew that people liked me because, you know, hopefully I'm cool to hang out with. Well, at least they thought so. And so I just asked my friends, like, guys, I know you guys love me to death. Can you just do like a 20-second testimonial? They did. I got it back, and that's how I got started. And that's the same thing for any software company, any startup. No one has testimonials when they first start out. So you've got to like figure out a way to get those testimonials, and then your testimonials improve to results-based testimonials when you really get going.
Yeah. That's good. That's an excellent point. So you guys have no excuses now. All you guys are screaming about, you know, I need testimonials to get started. Well, Tracy just gave you an idea of how you can actually get testimonials to get started and to, you know, expand your business. So that's a good point. So hashtag testimonials. I hashtag just friends. You know, you got to think about your friends, family, hashtag friends, family, anybody that you can think of right now, you know, just let them know that, you know, reach out to them, say, you know, I've started doing whatever, so-and-so, and just let them know, you know, I need a video, you know, character testimonial, just vouch for me that I'm a good person, that you know, pretty much like Tracy said, that you're likable, that, you know, they like being around you, somebody, you know, that is honest. You know, I mean, a lot of business owners are looking for that, because right now, just like I said earlier, that a lot of businesses, they're pretty much getting scammed and, you know, I guess bamboozled or whatever. And they're people that, you know, really aren't trustworthy. So they're pretty skeptical. So if somebody gets on there and says that, you know, they're more likely to reach out to you. So that's a good point.
Yeah. Awesome. So I'll go through the last two, because these ones are ones that most people don't really think about. But number 6, so if you're going to do this, do it on a sad day, is something that's emotion evoking. Okay, I learned this the hard way, because some of my clients, we had these crazy social media plans where we were basically just posting up like value posts every day, nonstop authority posts, social proof. And it just seemed very, very business-like. But once we started putting in those emotion evoking posts, that's when they started to seem human. And now people don't want to interact with the business. They want to interact with a human, because there's just so many like scammy people out there, and we don't know like who's real, who's legit. Like we're all behind these computer screens or our phones. And so once you can see someone that has a birthday party for their 5-year-old, or they're a human being, they went to the grocery store and they bought the wrong thing, or they made a mistake and they talk about it, or they had this, the vacation where like everything fell apart. It just seems very human, and it evokes some type of emotion. Or if that person is like really, really funny and they have this funny side, like most people don't know this, but my favorite type of video to edit is actually comedy. And I've worked with like comedians, and like I just love comedy. And so sometimes like out of randomness, right, I would just post up something that's funny, and then everyone will get a reaction. And I think, Mike, this is how you and I kind of started scheduling this Facebook Live. Was I just did a Facebook Live about me doing pull-ups for fun. And it made people laugh. And so if you can incorporate other aspects of your personality into like your posts, then it's going to make you seem really, really relatable.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good point.
Yeah.
It's like if you can make them smile, if you can make them laugh, you can make them buy. So, that's pretty much it. Because you're pretty much, evoking, like she said, evoking emotions into their, into their being, into the atmosphere, whatever it is, man. You're pretty much getting down deep into emotional, and that's a selling point too. Like if you guys are in any type of sales or anything, or in a sales meeting, if you can actually figure out why, how you can get that business owner to really dig deep into whatever their goal is. They have goals for a specific reasons, and obviously it's going to be attainable goals and something like that, but there's a specific reason why they want to reach that goal. So you pretty much have to, with your question, just like Tracy said as well, you need to question and really understand. You have to strategically question, ask questions that are actually pretty much digging deep into their emotional, I guess, realm or whatever. Where some people say it may it may be, I guess, not, I guess, appropriate to do that. But I mean, actually, you really want them to figure out why it is, because a lot of people don't. And a lot of people say, I guess the way society is now, people don't sit back and, just think about different things. So a lot of people just spend time doing things, but they're not really thinking about why they're doing what they're doing. So people are setting goals and they don't understand why they're setting what they're setting. So really, it's not necessarily that you're trying to go in a back door, doing sneaky sales or anything like that. I mean, whether you make the sale or not, you're really actually helping the person out, figure out why they actually want to attain that particular goal that they have. Is it that they want to spend more time with their kids, want to spend more time with their family? They just want to, it's not just, the money aspect of it. There's more than just money. It's, it's deeper than that. It's like they want to travel more, but why do you want to travel more? You want to see more of the world, but why? Why is that? You have, is it just giving you a release from something that you're doing? I mean, there's always a deeper reason. You can always go deeper. So that's, a good point. So thanks for mentioning that as well, Tracy. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the last type of post that we will do, number 7, is pattern disruption. So be random, be fun, be goofy. And regardless of what your business is, or, like what your logo is and your colors and, your messaging and whatnot, throw something out there that totally disrupts the pattern, okay? Because if everything in your timeline looks the same, value, story, interaction, authority, social proof, and it doesn't change, people are going to keep scrolling. We made this mistake earlier this year. Everything that we did was so absolutely branded that people just started seeing it as like one solid wall. And so if you can throw something as a pattern disruption, it really works. I think Colton Kroeze does this really well, where he has his dog and his 2 Comma Club award. And I just remember this photo that just like made me laugh. But if you see it, check out his page. But he has this photo of him being homeless, and he's like hitchhiking with his dog on the way to Funnel Hacking Live, and it's hilarious. Yeah, you've seen it, right?
Yeah.
It's such a pattern disruption, right? I mean, it is in line with his brand, and it doesn't always have to be in line with the brand, but it's something that's just funny. Like, get creative, because if you do that, people are going to remember it. I mean, it's been weeks since he posted that, but like that was the first thing that came to mind. So it really, really works.
Yeah, that's a good point. So you guys, Tracy just gave you 7 ways to get more engagement on your Facebook page. How can or actually your profiles in general, whatever social media platform you're on, whatever social media platform you are using. She gave you 7 different particular tasks. I have them written down, but just go back if you're tuning in now on the live, or if you tune in, I guess some kind of way on the replay, just go back and listen to them. I'm not going to rename them. I want you to watch the video. I'm sure she does as well, because there's other points in there that you don't, that you need to watch. And not just so you can consume my content and, all that stuff, but it's just so that, you can actually, it'll help you grow your business, grow your life, you grow, actually, friends. Because I've been noticing actually, in social media, ever since I've been more proactive, I've actually engaged with more people, like even with Tracy right now, just as far as, I've actually opened up my brand, because I'm learning that wealth is not just, about money and acquiring money, but it's about acquiring relationships as well too. So social media is not all about just making this, numerous amount of money, but I mean, it's about expanding your relationships and your knowledge as well. That's one reason why, I had Tracy come on here, because obviously she's talking about content and, just getting your content out there, which is helping you guys grow your business as well. And is also helping me to learn, different things. So that's, so thank you, for coming on and everything like that. And I do want to actually touch on, I know I mentioned this to her, said we have some time. I know she said she has an hour blocked off, so we still got at least about, 6 more minutes. So I wanted to touch on some. Yeah, I wanted to touch on some, actually, I guess, equipment. So I'm going to kind of go over these fast. You can just spit things out, whatever you comes to mind. So what is the actual best camera to use? Because a lot of people don't have a lot of money. Or can you just use your phone? I mean, because some people are saying, well, I don't want to go out and get, I guess a camera that just takes photos. I need a video camera. But a lot of people don't have a lot of money to go out and just buy, I guess a numerous amount of stuff, especially if they're just starting out. So it's like, if I was to go out and, purchase just the phone, because the phone, obviously, yeah, a cell phone, whatever you want to call it, cell phone, pocket phone, portable phone, whatever it is. So, so if you want to, take pictures, pretty much if you get a phone, it's going to take pictures, going to take videos. What is the best type of phone, or I mean, what type of video camera? I mean, just from your experience, what should a newbie go out and do and get if they don't have like a ton of money to get started shooting videos, posting videos, where they're sending them to YouTube? And I don't want to go too much in detail about that, as far as, because obviously, you want to, I guess some people talk about, I guess the different content that you should put on YouTube. Your video should be different. And, as far as composed to Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff. And even some people are doing stuff on Pinterest now, which I don't know. Can you put videos on Pinterest? I really hadn't looked into that. Or it's just...
I've never really seen. Yeah, I don't know. I have never seen it. So, yeah, I would have to take a look, but I don't really think so.
Yeah. But, so what type of camera, phone, whatever should a newbie get?
Great question. So I'm going to do no budget, $500, and then as much money as you can afford. So first thing is, obviously, if you don't have a budget, you have a phone. I'm very biased to Samsung. I was an iPhone user for many, many years, but I think of Samsung. I've got the Galaxy S9. I think they have the S10 coming out.
Oh no, I gotta get you to reiterate that real quick. I don't want to cut you off, but did you just say you had an iPhone and then you went back to an Android or Samsung?
Oh, I never went back to an Android. I was always an iPhone user, and then I went to an Android, and my life has improved exponentially.
So yeah, normally everybody's talking about they always go the other way. Once you have an iPhone, you'll never go back to an Android. You don't like it, Android and all this stuff. So I'm really not a big Apple fan. So I don't know. It's just interesting that you said that. I apologize for cutting you off. But.
Oh yeah, no worries, no worries. So that's just a personal bias. Nothing against Apple. I've got tons and tons of Apple products. But just your phone, and probably the best app if you want to make videos is InShot. It's either free or you can pay like a very small amount for it. But just take videos on your phone, whether it's Facebook Live or pre-recorded. Use the app InShot to add in the letter boxes, so the top and bottom, the headlines. And you can do that within about 10 minutes, and then you have a video. So it's really, really nice and easy.
Wow. And you said InShot, like IN?
InShot. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. available on iPhone, Android. I'm sure it's available for all the other phones as well. So that's like if you don't have a budget, okay? You don't need fancy stuff to get started. Just do what you can. And then there are apps that you can download, like Facetune is one of them. I don't use Facetune personally, but I know a lot of people do to kind of like smooth out your skin. You can use the app, Adobe Lightroom has a really good app as well. And what's the other one? There's, let me see. Another really great one is, let's see. Gosh, I'm kind of blanking right now, but one that's really popular, I would say, like, yeah, I'm totally blanking. I have it like on the top of my head. I don't remember the app, but it's another one that's super popular. So basically, like, there's a ton of really good like photography apps and really good video apps that you can just do for free. And if you don't have, if you don't even know how to use those apps, just go on Facebook Live or Instagram Live and start utilizing Live, because that's really going to help you get engagement. So that's the first one. If you do have a little bit of a budget, I'm going to say $500, I would recommend getting a Canon entry-level camera. Okay, so it's going to look like this. I'm going to go grab one of my cameras. Okay, so this is a Canon 6D. This is my photography camera. This is not an entry-level camera, but it's going to look something like this. And the reason why I recommend Canon, any of the Rebel series is good. Probably the most entry-level one you can get is the Canon, I think it's the SLR. I think that's the name of it, but it's like a $500 camera. And the key thing you're looking for when you're looking for entry-level camera is autofocus, because unless you're really good at like focusing the lens, don't worry about it. Just get a good lens with autofocus that has good image quality and good color. And I think Canon does a really good job. I've used like so many different brands, but I think for anyone that's entry level, just get a nice Canon camera, get a lavalier microphone, or I will pull them all out. Get a lavalier microphone to get started, plug it in, and that's really all you need to make videos. And then in terms of like software, if you've got a Mac, you can use, what is it called? iMovie, totally free on a Mac. If you are Windows, you can use something like Camtasia. And don't worry too much about the editing. Just make sure you, when you start, just cut off the beginning and the end. Keep the middle, and that's your video.
That's good. That's good. I know as far as but Camtasia is not free, is it? That you have to. That's a paid.
Yeah, I think you do have to invest in it. So.
Yeah. What about? I guess well, I don't know if I want to go into detail, but what's the difference between Camtasia? Should we use Camtasia or Adobe Cut Pro, or is Adobe Cut Pro more expensive? Is that?
You can also use Adobe Premiere Pro. That is subscription based, so you're going to be paying $20, $30, $40, $50 depending on the plan that you have monthly. And so, Adobe Premiere is just going to be it's basically like a video editor on steroids. So, pretty much all video editors are fairly similar. So I would say, depending on like your skill set or like your skill level, just get started with one, understand the basics of it, and then upgrade to the next one once you get to that next stage.
All right.
But I would say I love Premiere Pro. I use both Premiere Pro and Final Cut Pro, and the Premiere Pro would probably be my favorite for sure.
That's good. That's good to know. Because I was using Camtasia a while back, but I think it was only like a 2-year subscription or something that we purchased. Yeah. And so yeah.
Yeah. Just those like video editing softwares, it's going to take some time investment to kind of learn. So you can always outsource it to like a VA. I think that would be really good if you're just kind of getting started. So so in terms of like budget, if you have the budget, the camera I use is, let me go grab it. is a Panasonic GH5. And this camera is great because I chose this one for a couple of reasons. One of them is that it does not overheat. So that's huge, okay? It does not overheat.
I never really even thought of that, so.
Yeah, most cameras will overheat, okay? And the next one is there is no limit on how long you can record. So if you're doing a training, let's say it's 2 hours, 5 hours, right? If you're doing a webinar, you don't want your camera turning off like most DSLRs will, or a lot of mirrorless cameras will. So this is really nice. And then also, no camera is perfect. I will tell you that. The autofocus on this is not great, so I manually focus, but the image quality is beautiful, and it's just super, super reliable. So this is probably going to set you back with lenses probably like $3,000 if you want like a good quality lens to go with it. So, you know, and Sony has great cameras too, and so does Canon. I chose the GH5 just because of the fact that I travel and I just need something super, super reliable. So.
That's good. That's good to know. I never really even thought about, I guess I haven't used the camera enough for it to overheat. So pretty much I never thought of it. And most of the time I just use my webcam and my phone, I guess, in general. But, that's pretty much it. Also, yeah, I'm getting started. Not professional like Tracy yet. So, don't really, I guess, pretty much, need, I guess, an expensive, that type, a camera yet. So that's a good idea. Thanks for, sharing that tip, because I never really thought about, a camera overheating. Or
yeah.
Even so, I guess the battery life, the battery life, that's pretty good as far as that it'll last for however long. That's always a good point. So.
Right. Yeah, but I guess the final thing I just wanted to say is I hope you guys can see that with these 7 authority building content posts, and I'll just quickly reiterate them. Number 1, your messaging and storytelling. Number 2, value. 3, interaction. 4, authority. 5, social proof. 6, emotion evoking. And 7, pattern disruption. That you don't need crazy, awesome photography and video when you first start. But once you reach a certain point in your business, I don't know any key influencer that doesn't have crazy, awesome photography and video. So start off with what you can, because I know several influencers who have basically used this type of content to create multi-6-figure businesses without going to like the nice like branding. But just know that it's a progression. So start off with what you have and progress to something better.
Yeah, that's good to know. Thanks for sharing those tips. And Tracy, how can people reach out to you? What if they want to get you to actually, shoot some videos for them or photos for them? How can people get in touch with you and reach you on Facebook, Instagram, website? How can they reach out to you?
Yeah, so the best place is Facebook. I think kind of I would say I've been definitely much more of like the key ninja behind the scenes. And so I definitely help people establish like their businesses, and probably the best place to find me at right now is Facebook, my Facebook personal profile. So Tracy Wong, find me, PM me, let's start interacting, let's be friends.
Yeah, so you guys reach out to Tracy. Obviously, she just dropped some valuable content, some valuable information, some valuable knowledge. The 7 tips that she mentioned can help you grow whatever profile that you are using, whatever social media platform you are on. She can help you grow that. So reach out to her if you have any other questions, any advice that you need to, obtain from her, as far as, getting your content out, separating your content, or just in videos in general. If you just want to ask her, her advice, should I buy this phone, that phone, what am I looking for, as far as, but she did give you those tips as well. So you can watch the video as far as, just 3 different levels, of different cameras, phones that you can buy, and just pretty much any tactic that you need, Tracy has, in the video realm, the photography realm, or whatever. So we thank you guys for tuning in. I thank Tracy for joining us, and reach out to her, as she said, on Facebook. And as always, continue to move, because an object at rest stays at rest. So that's why you want to be in constant motion. So always move, always do something each and every day, progression, try to learn, try to grow, do something. If you're not growing, you're dying. If you're not moving, you're dying. Because I mean, you look at somebody in the coffin, you know, they're dead in the ground, 6 feet under, you know, whether they've been, you know, cremated or whatever the situation is, they are not moving. So always move, you're alive, continue to grow, continue to learn. So thank you, Tracy, for hopping on, and we will catch you guys later. Have a good one.